I'm very honored today to be joined by a friend, colleague, Army veteran, somebody that is making headlines in the news that I didn't even know about, really, until it was brought to my attention. But again, we don't have much time, so let me see if I can bring him right in. It is Fred Wellman from the Meidas Touch Network, host of On Democracy with FP Wellman. Let me bring him in here. I knew it was one of those buttons. I told you I was going to fumble around with which scene it was before, so I predicted that correctly. So how you doing, bud? How's everything?
I'm doing great, man. Getting ready to go to the soccer game. Got Sports City SC. I live in
Nice,
St.
dude.
Louis. We got a great team. They're kicking ass. So me and the boy are going to see a soccer game here in about half an hour. So I appreciate you squeezing me in.
No, thank you so much for taking the time out. I really appreciate it. I mean, let's get right
Yeah,
into it, I guess. I mean, you're going
yeah,
to have maybe some people talking to you at the old soccer match about how the vice president, the man that holds the office of the vice president of the United States of America, took his time out with Social Security failing, with health care for seniors being stripped away, with our
yeah.
allies at in peril at whatsoever, with Ukraine being abandoned, with the United States government allied with Russia. The office of the vice president took the time out to retweet a vet, Fred Wellman, to try to troll him on Twitter. How did that make you feel?
Awesome. Honestly, I was telling you in the pre-show, I was like, I was out shopping. Look, so the most Midwest thing ever. I'm out spring shopping with my fiance, at Lowe's and Home Depot and looking for plants. And goddamn, I get a text from the Midas Touch guy, Ben or Brett Masellis text me, goes, hey, boy, you're making friends again, which I'm like, of course I do. And I said, what do you mean? I didn't realize that it had been the vice president. Yeah, there you go. Had quote tweeted me, right? I'm like, dude, come on, dude. I mean, look at that number, 4.3
Now
million
let me
views.
just let me
Jesus,
just read this out, my man.
oh
These
Lord.
people want to turn Europe into a permanent protectorate. The problem, if it was ever a good idea, it is simply not sustainable with $2 trillion in annual deficits. Right after we'll go to what you said, just disgusting behavior by the worst VP in modern history. Right now,
Yep.
so many things that we could call out here. One, the utter hypocrisy of this
Yeah.
coming from the man who literally just hours before gave a press conference saying he wants to take over Greenland. The United States wants
Right.
to take over Greenland to protect them. So, I mean, does he not know the definition of a protectorate? Or is he
Right.
just that ignorant that he took the time? Does he have nothing to do? I mean, what is this?
That was the thing. And what was random to me too was in that original tweet that he's quote tweeting, I didn't tag him. I quote tweeted Asen, the Clipper, and it was his speech, and I was offended by his speech. I'm a veteran of the Army. Our allies are doing good things. You see that, yeah. He's smearing our allies, saying they haven't been good partners, that they haven't protected Greenland enough. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with this stuff? They went to war with us. I served next door, next to Danish officers in Iraq. Okay, they've definitely been there for us. And the idea that only the U.S. can protect them when they're a member of NATO, so all of NATO will protect Greenland if it comes to it. So I was just offended. I just said this is just disgusting behavior, and it must have pissed him. I mean, again, who has that kind of time? You're running. You're number two in the second most, the second most powerful guy in the number one most powerful country, and you've got time that thins. And it just doesn't it go to the thin skin of this administration and Elon. And I just had my show. We were talking about how thin skinned they are. That some rando veteran can get under his skin that much that he feels the need to try and quote tweet me. And you know the deal on Twitter, especially. You quote tweet people so that your followers will troll them and attack them. And I don't fuck. Oh yeah, my headline. I made the India Times and MSN, dude. I mean, but I love my
Right? I
headline,
mean,
brother. You know,
just
they
think
name
about
me
how
like I'm some kind of
ludicrous this
celebrity.
is. How ludicrous is this with everything going on right now with this administration? That this is a
Like
headline,
I'm a
Fred.
celebrity. People know who the fuck Fred Wellman is. Like nobody knows who I am.
And I do apologize. I was so short on time. I had a long, big, long introduction for you.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
do want
No,
to just
no.
let people know that don't know you that you spent
Yeah,
22 years in the Army after graduating from the
yeah.
United States Military Academy in 1987. Originally commissioned as an Army aviator trained to fly helicopters, served as a public affairs officer for the 101st Airborne
Coffee.
Division Multinational Security Transition Command, Iraq. You served 3 tours in Iraq. So this
Hmm.
is. I just want to let everybody know this is, with the questions I'm about to ask. This is of somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. Unlike Pete Hegseth, unlike
Yeah,
JD
I'm
Vance,
old as dirt.
right? So, I
Yeah, he
mean,
did nuts,
there's
you know,
go
and I
ahead.
was my last two tours were public affairs officer, and he was a soldier who did journalism, which is part of public affairs. So look, he served by all measures honorably. He did what he was hired to do, and he did it well. He did it downrange. I mean, there's nothing. You never see me criticizing his public service, but I damn sure will criticize his time as a vice president. You don't go to an ally's country and talk shit about them, when it's up to us. There's only 150 of our service members left in Greenland. There was 10,000 at one point. It's us that abandoned them. We had 15 bases there at the height of our time there. We've abandoned all of them but one. I mean, if you look at the big picture, the people who abandoned Greenland was us as an ally, and now they want to talk shit about it. I mean, it just
And,
pisses me off, man.
am I missing something, or like when? To my knowledge, it was in the 40s. I believe
Yeah.
1944 that this area was last attacked, or
Yeah.
under. Like,
Yeah.
what are we
Even a fiction.
protecting
Yeah.
Greenland from exactly? We're protecting them from Denmark and their, unbelievable like healthcare and the way they treat, their citizens in their country, or what are we?
Yeah.
What are we actually protecting
I
them
don't
from?
know. Hey, look, it has nothing. They're saying, "Oh, Russia, China." The fact is, with climate change, more of the ice is melting. This is the fact. The Arctic is becoming a battleground now. There's shorter routes. It's a 40% shorter route to now go above Greenland to get to the North America and Europe because of the melting of the polar ice caps. There's just more ocean and there's more minerals. And Greenland is supposed to have huge amounts of rare earth minerals and others that we need. And that's a fact. This isn't about national security. This is about money. This is about like everything in the Trump administration is about corruption and money. And his billionaire buddies want access to those minerals. So he's willing to threaten NATO, you know, for an
Right.
ally. And it's
Right.
just it's
Well, and you can
disgusting, man.
almost compare this to Lindsey Graham and the Republicans that actually, speak up mildly in defense of Ukraine. Because if they do,
Right.
it's typically followed up by some sort of "we need this as a deal, we need this
Yeah.
amount of money," or "we're looking forward to this a partnership that's going to make us a bunch of money afterwards," which is not obviously why we're supposed to be or should be helping the people of
Yeah.
Ukraine. Which
I,
the people at Blunt Politics are huge supporters, as you can see, my man,
Yeah, I
over my
love your
shoulder.
comment. And the thing is, if you think about that, the other story this week, right, which was Signalgate, the whiskey
Hmm.
leaks. I like whiskey leaks better, but but the Signalgate thing is a perfect example. If you look at that, there's so many under talked about portions of that, and one of the portions I thought was that if you noticed was them talk about how once. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. One of the most I loved about it was they're talking about how they're going to make Egypt and Europe pay for us attacking, like literally as they're planning strikes to put U.S. service members in danger to attack, and by the way, kill people, which is a serious thing, right? They're talking about it at the same time they're saying, well, we're going to get money from Egypt and Europe for this. I mean, everything is a dollar exchange. Everything is about shaking me money back for everything they do. And it's sick. And look, as a service member, I did, like you said, I did 22 years. I was a helicopter pilot. That's behind my book here. We'll take that book down. There you go. My Blackhawk. The fact is, it makes me feel. I mean, if I was a service member, I'd feel like a fucking mercenary, right? I hope you don't mind f bombs. Sorry, audience.
Well, you know what? Now I know
I'm a
you've
veteran.
definitely never watched the fucking show, Fred. For
Yeah.
Christ's
So there you
sake.
go. So there you have it. But they're basically saying our servicemen are fucking mercenaries for Europe, right? It's like,
Right.
hey, we're
Right.
attacking Yemen with our guys and girls and women for money from Egypt and Europe. It's just sick, man. Tell me I'm not a mercenary without telling me I'm not a mercenary.
Right. Right. And as my man Josh here, I don't know if you've looked up or heard before, but there's a good read into, I shall say, if you look up the Tech Native America, which was Elon
Yeah.
Musk's grandfather and his whole idea for the
Yeah.
the entire continent basically to be under control of what was it, engineers, or
Yeah.
I forget
Well,
what it was
have you
exactly.
read
Hal Sparks
the
does a
the
good breakdown of this.
yeah, Gil Duran. If you ever read Gil Duran, I don't know if you've talked to Gil Duran before, but Gil writes a great Substack about this. And oh, I can't remember the name, but I'm sorry, Gil. I apologize, but it's Gil Gilduran, Gil Duran,
Hmm.
and he's written a lot about the network state. This Curtis Yarvin guy that Thiel and Musk and Vance love, and it's the idea that the country should be run by a CEO, right? Instead of a president. And if you look how they're doing it, that's what they're kind of doing with Trump's just sort of the symbolic president right now. It's really Elon Musk is kind of the president right now. It's really just it's fucked up. I mean, that's the only way to put it. It's just fucked up. So anyway, hey, thanks for
Well,
money
I
there.
mean, I guess what were
Hey,
your first thoughts knowing the
fellow screaming eagle.
real and serious dangers of the information leak, the way they were communicating about it?
Yeah,
Not only that, but the response to it with
yeah.
emojis. And I mean, what was your first thought? You're thinking on the military side of things, and not so much the political side. I mean, there's a way to
Hmm.
conduct yourself, right? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a service member. I'm not a veteran. I study World War II. I like to think I would call myself something of an amateur World War II historian type of deal.
Yep.
And it's just there's a certain way you conduct yourself. Not only, I mean, you can see it from the through line from World War II to the U.S. military now, and it's just this goes against everything that at least
Yeah.
I've read and seen and studied in the military.
Oh, you're nailing it. And I tell you right now that what's shocking to me is, first of all, fury was my first feeling. When I saw the story initially, I was just infuriated. I mean, just a blind rage. And I saw Jen there. Thanks, Jen. So good to see fellow 101st veterans. Say hi to your husband for me. And as a service member, and by the way, my father was a World War II Marine. My son is a veteran of the 82nd Airborne. My son-in-law continues to serve this day. Military is a family business. And to see them treating our safety and security of our service members with such disregard, so
Right.
little thought of what they're doing, that they're flippantly having conversations on their personal phones about highly classified things. And don't believe for a minute, y'all, that it wasn't highly classified. When you're talking about the exact target times and the exact systems, be it MQ-9s or F-18s or otherwise, that are going to be striking a target, that gives the enemy, if the enemy had gotten those texts, they could have easily moved their air defenses around and shot down men and women of our armed services.
And
And so it was just rage, man. I was pissed.
Well, and then Hegseth comes out and lies. Tulsi
Yeah,
Gabbard comes out and lies to the House, to the
yeah,
Senate.
yep,
The CIA director comes out and lies. The FBI director comes out and lies.
yep,
The Vice President of the United States comes out and lies.
yep.
It's beyond me how we are somehow letting these people get away with what is. You don't even have to be politically involved. You don't have to have military knowledge. You don't have to be a military planner. You don't have to have served 20 years as a Marine. You don't
Nope,
have to be a veteran of a war to understand that you give the
nope.
bad guys the direct knowledge of where you're striking, what time you're striking, what weapons you're using. That could be dangerous to the pilots flying into those. And when Pete Hegseth
Yeah,
comes out and he says, "Listen, I didn't. There was no direct targets listed there. No, he's right and he's wrong. Right. So there was no direct like target site listed, but." Anybody with any military knowledge or awareness of some of these
right.
situations could piece together that when he said, okay, the F-18s are going to follow and hit where the drones had already struck, right? And put two and two together with the girlfriend's house, right? So now okay, where the drone hit at this time coming up, the F-18s are now that is now their target right there. So
Right. So
how
now they
about
know
we
the
get
next
our
targets.
right?
They know when the
Correct.
next guys are coming back. And the other thing that bothers me too is I saw immediately. I did intelligence. I had a weird career. I did intelligence. I did flying. I did public affairs. And they burned a spy. Now we now know from follow-up reporting from CBS, it was Israelis. The Israelis are pissed because they said in the chat that they had eyes on the target, which means there's a human intelligence asset, a person watching
Right.
these targets in Yemen, and that person is now in deep danger, if not already fucking if nothing else, burned. Probably had to flee the country. So they burned an Israeli spy because these fuckers were too lazy to use a
Right.
skiff or the sipper net and the kickers, dude, they're given secure communications. They could have done that. All those fuckers who participated have top secret aids and devices. All of them had skiffs installed in their houses. They didn't need to be this flippant with it, and yet they
Right.
did. And the other
Right.
point, one of the people in the chat brought up too is what I noticed, and we're just talking about my show half an hour ago, which is crazy day, is did you notice that when they started talking, when he built the group, no one, including the director of national intelligence or the CIA director, said, "Hey, fellas, we shouldn't have this on Signal. Let's move
Right.
over to Sipper,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because that's how they're running the government,
Well, the
illegally
furthest that it
using
went, I
disparate
believe,
messages.
was who was it? Was it JD Vance that said, "Listen, I'll be in,
Yeah,
I'll be kind of campaigning. I kind of got to back out," but
got
gave
an
his 2 cents
economic.
and
I
then
got an
left.
economic.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And then, there's so much to point out here too. There really is so much to dive into. The fact that JD Vance openly said that Trump doesn't understand the ramifications of what this would go against
Yep,
his rhetoric against Europe.
yep,
So that was a story. He was asked about that. Can I show you this though? This
yeah,
was let me see if I can get this in here. This was
yeah. Do it.
a from a wife of a soldier in Yemen, right? And I'm just going to play
I know
the
what you're talking
beginning
about.
of
I
it.
just interviewed him on VoteVet. At the VoteVet show too.
It's from this was on the Occupy Democrats channel.
Hmm.
All right, so let me see if I can pull this up. Share this
You
tab
got this.
instead
You
with
can
you.
handle the technology. You can do it. There you go. Mm. Oh,
All right, so here we go. Let me guys know if you can hear this.
Husband is deployed overseas, but the US government is so careless and incompetent that they accidentally leak classified info about your husband's unit in a group chat with a journalist. What would you do? Well, one wife of a US soldier in Yemen has gone viral after she blasted JD Vance and the Trump administration for their careless mistake. Take a look.
As someone whose husband is currently deployed in the Middle East, not far from Yemen, I'm going to warn you now, this is going to be the angriest fucking video I have ever made in my entire life because there are not adequate words in the English language for me to fully fucking communicate to you right now how fucking furious I am. In case you haven't seen yet, news just broke that multiple high-level members of the Trump administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, shared highly classified information about upcoming troop movements and strikes in Yemen via a signal chat that they accidentally added a reporter to, violating the Espionage Act in the process and putting the lives of thousands of service members, including my husband's, at risk. They did all of this after they already knew that Signal had recently been hacked by Russians looking for information about troop movement. Even if you set aside the fact that they accidentally included a reporter, they still put troop lives at risk. Their phones could very easily be hacked. Their phones could very easily be stolen. Their phones could very easily be left behind at whatever bar Pete Hegseth goes to after work every day to get drunk because he's a alcoholic. Every single Republican member of Congress better be on national news within the next few hours calling for the fucking resignation of every single member on that group chat, up to and including JD Vance.
I mean, get her an
that's
award,
Kendall
get her in
Brown.
office, get her
She was
own
on my
show.
nah. Yeah, I had her on my
Unreal.
Vote Vet show because I also host shows for Vote Vets. I'm with Vote Vets as a progressive
Right.
veterans organization,
Right.
and I host their shows. And Kendall was on the show. I had Kendall, who's the wife of a service member downrange right now, and we had a guy named Bryce Remke, who's a former Air Force pilot. And if you look at votevets.org or votevets on YouTube, you can look up that. But Kendall is amazing, and she's brilliant, and she's telling it like it is because that's exactly how you feel. I mean, look, if Kendall's husband had sent that text group to her, he would have been literally taken off the mission. They would have put him, they probably would have canceled the mission. He would have been brought up on charges, lost his career, very well may have been thrown in jail. And that's not
Right.
even being, I'm
Right.
not even being facetious in this. I'm not, everybody's, oh, they're going to go to jail. No, you shit would go to jail for that kind of a breaking of operational security because people's lives are in danger and it's
Well,
no
I bring up the
fucking
example of
joke.
Eisenhower's, roommate there at West Point on the eve of D-Day when he was spouting out at the British bar there, talking about the time and the date when they were going to be landing, and they sent his ass right home. They demoted
Yeah,
him, sent him right home, and that was
yeah,
probably he got off
yeah,
easy on that one. You know what I mean? Because he could have
yeah.
very easily been locked up, and if they weren't, just about to undertake the greatest undertaking in the history of military, he probably would have been sitting his ass in prison for the rest of his life. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
And the whole thing, the way
just
they're,
because people
there's,
didn't get hurt doesn't
well, that's
mean
it.
that the shit isn't screwed up, right? Doesn't mean
And
that
it
you don't
doesn't
need
mean
to
they're
take
not still doing
accountability.
it. And that's my problem. In the end, look, let's
Right,
set all that fucking shit aside, right, brother? It's
right.
like at the end, none of them has said they're stopped using Signal. I got in trouble. So I wrote an article on my Substack, fpwellman.substack.com. So check it out. I
Hit
have
it.
a great Substack following. But I wrote an article on my Substack because a guy who works in the Department of Defense, who works in information technology, reached out to me because they've authorized the use of Signal on their government devices. And he even had a senior military officer say to him that we need Signal to communicate with the White House. Okay. And there was some pushback. I won't get into the details, but I got some pushback from DOD saying that, this person had not actually authorized it. And I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry. Okay, well, have you deauthorized them? So can you show me the memo that you have since put out since this leak? Anyone in federal government. This is what you guys need to ask your congressman, ask these fuckers when they come on
Mm-hmm.
TV. Have
Mm-hmm.
any of them put out a memo saying, in light of the fact that this was leaked and the fact we now know Signal is being used to avoid the Presidential Drug Act, we are banning its use, right? And they
Well,
haven't. Okay,
I
they're still
go ahead.
fucking using it. It's just as hacked as it was. We just got lucky because they included Jeffrey Goldberg.
Well, I've played on my last show. I showed the example that was written about how there was, Russian, let's say, not assisted, but Russian involved groups that were already trying to infiltrate Signal.
Yeah,
Tucker Carlson said it
yeah,
in one of his
yeah,
broadcasts. I think when he was in Russia, saying that somebody had hacked into his Signal. So I'm a little confused. I am a
yeah,
little confused because we heard in the Senate hearings and in the House hearings that memos had gone out at the CIA, in the FBI about Signal.
yeah.
Yet
And
the
DOD.
CIA
Mhm.
director is either blatantly lying about the fact that Signal was automatically downloaded onto his hard drive, onto his computer, or we have a serious issue that these intelligence agencies are putting out memos about watching out for this thing as they're still installing it on computers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not accurately
same.
educating. I mean, I don't say accurately educating because these people are idiots. So I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna
same.
act like they're able to be educated on this. So I'm not even gonna bring it there. But it's pretty obvious, right, that
Yeah.
we have an issue here. Either we're being lied to by the CIA director, or the United States intelligence apparatus has a serious signal problem.
Which is scary to think. All those are bad, and now our enemies know they're talking about them. Our allies know not to trust these fuckers. I mean, the damage is so bad, and they all keep trying to act like it's no big deal, put it behind us, move on. We are not moving on. And what I find especially fascinating, and brother, I'm so sorry I can't stay all fucking day with you.
No, no,
But
dude, don't worry about it.
what I found especially fascinating to me is this that we're finally seeing cracks. Like I try not to be an optimist. For some reason, I'm still an optimist after 22 years in the army and doing this for a living. That I am seeing a lot of veterans, a lot of military people saying, "Time the fuck out, dude. This how are you so frivolous?" Because you can blow off. They're so good at blowing off. Well, when he said he doesn't like people that are captured, he was really talking about John McCain, and we know he's bad. When the Suckers and Losers story came out, well, that's a lie. That there's nobody was on the record for that. They're very good. MAGA brain is especially good at twisting their pretzels to avoid that something actually fucking happened.
It's
This
funny,
happened. You can see it, and so
right?
anybody who served a day knows this is real. So I don't know. I think maybe we're some breaking some heads for once.
Well, what's funny is I'm going to play a clip later on in the show of Russian state media saying the exact same thing that you just said, talking about how, Jeffrey Goldberg has written so many fake stories, and, he's a
Right,
hack this and hack that. And it's so funny
right.
that the rhetoric and the talking points of the Trump administration directly line up with the talking points and the rhetoric of Russian state media. Isn't that just funny how that happens?
Yeah, isn't
Do you know
that
what I
crazy?
mean?
Yeah, it's
But
just
now,
nuts.
before you leave, because I know we only got a couple minutes here,
No, yeah, we
I
got
mean,
about 5 more. I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
and I could talk to you all day about this stuff. I really could, to tell
Yeah,
you the
yeah, me
truth.
too.
And it's kind of sick. But with your knowledge of all this, and above and beyond the signal leaks, we now know that Pete Hegseth was also not only bringing his wife to classified meetings at the Pentagon, but also, giving his little brother, a cushy job at the Pentagon as well. So, can you just speak to how out of character that is, how hypocritical that is, and how dangerous it is for somebody to be bringing their spouse into meetings like this?
It's that. It's that, right? But it's also so there's two elements I found fascinating with that story. Because if you know this, two stories broke in one day. First, the Phil Hegseth story, where his brother has been set up as a special liaison with the Department of Homeland Security. They're trying to avoid the nepotism law by saying he actually works for a different department, but he's
Right.
literally traveling and in every meeting, like the Conor McGregor, tattoo meeting, with his brother, which is illegal. That's a
Somebody says she's
1967
in
federal
NATO
law.
meetings today.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so the other one is the white. Now there have been so it's a very fine line. You're allowed to bring like cabinet secretaries are allowed to bring their spouse on trips to,
Right.
but generally what
Right.
happens like when Hegseth went to Germany, his spouse went to go visit the high school, right? They do spouse stuff, right?
Mhm.
This fucking guy is bringing her into actual brief. Like apparently she was actually in the briefing with the UK Department of Minister of Defense and the admiral in charge of their joint forces. Like these are classified discussions and the whole thing is all so fucking dumb, right? It just goes to show how out of touch with reality this Hegseth Fox News host really is. He has no experience. He never got
Right.
above the rank of major, barely made major in the military. That's lower than my rank, for God's sake. He has no business being Secretary of Defense. And it shows every day. But what I do find fascinating is isn't it the two stories hitting him came out within a couple hours? If you remember Madison Cawthorn, remember getting Cawthorned, and the term those I'm a political hack in my day job. I do political consulting. Getting Cawthorned is when all these stories start leaking, and that's how you know that's when knives come out for Republicans start coming out and they're knifing because
Right.
they're leaking stories. And I believe we're seeing the Cawthorning of Hegseth. We're going to see more. I guarantee by next week we hear stories about him drinking, that he's still drinking. There's going to be a lot of them because people there's blood in the water and they can smell it. So it's disgusting, but I guarantee, yeah, cocaine orgies. You remember 'em. So I really do think. I love your chat. By the way, I love your chat. I hope you guys come watch my show because this is a fun fucking chat.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. Just like you said earlier
This is
today,
a
this is
great chat, but
by
I
far
think
the
he's getting
biggest
Cawthorn.
audience. This is
I think
by
he's
far the
out. Is
biggest
big audience?
audience. By far the biggest audience we've ever had. So I appreciate
No
you.
kidding.
Bring.
Wow, that's
I'm sure it's a
awesome.
lot of your crew as well. So I
Yeah,
appreciate all.
I brought you on
Uh,
my Twitter. I put you up
I'm
on my
sure
Twitter. We're on my Twitter
maybe
right
some
now
Midas
too. So
Mighty, Midas Mighty shout
yeah,
out in the
yeah, we're
chat.
having a moment. So
Let's
I
go.
love all
Let's
you
go.
guys.
I
But I think
appreciate
that's
that.
what's going on. I think he's getting Cawthorned. A lot of people are thinking they're going to throw away. They're going to throw away Waltz a bit, and Waltz might get the.
But
I think that Trump is probably feeling the pressure. He has to give. He has to throw us something. He has to, because this is bad. And there's no. And what's going to happen is he's going to start getting an earful from our allies too. Like Israel's pissed, and you can only
right.
survive that. Look, they talk a good game about not needing allies, but we do. And
Right.
I just think, wow, that's so cool. Nice to have fans. Thank you so much, everybody, by the way. But I think it's amazing. I think we're going to see him get Cawthorned. I think we're going to hear more stories about Hegseth. It's going to get uglier and uglier, and then we're going to see him go, which would be one of the he had no business being. The fact that the vice president of the United States had to go in and break a tie for the nomination of the Secretary of Defense
Right.
is tells you all of how much he deserves the appropriation he's getting.
Well, I guess the last question I have for you before I let you go is, where the fuck are the generals? Where the fuck are the
Well,
four-star generals? Where the fuck are the military career people that have served through different administrations? Don't lean right or left. That are there to do their duty. That are there to do their job.
yeah,
Where are they in speaking out against how dangerous this is? Why is it left up to the wives of the people serving? Why is it left to a plumber from Boston, Massachusetts? Why is it left up to the people that gave 22 years of their life to
yeah,
serving this country, to doing to making sure the people of this country are safe, and now are continuing to uphold their oath to the Constitution, right? Why is it
yeah.
left up to us? Why is it not the people that are inside right now that can call these people? Why is it not these why is it not the people standing behind JD Vance and at his press conference? Like, why? I
Yeah.
don't
Well, let me
understand.
answer that. Let me answer that because I can answer that.
And I know it's probably
And
easier said
exactly
than
what you
done. I
expect. I'm
do.
going to say, thank God. I don't want our active duty military in uniform to get involved in the politics. Now, there's going to be leaks. That's fine. But we want them, I want them to hold their powder. And what I mean by that is there will come a moment in the next 6 or 8 months, I believe in my heart, where they're going to get truly illegal orders. They're going to be ordered to disperse a crowd of peaceful protesters. They're going to be ordered to start knocking down doors looking for these elusive illegal immigrants that don't actually exist, right? I want the generals and the sergeants and the captains to be prepared to say no to illegal orders. And in this situation where we've got these leaks and all these things, let us veterans handle that. Let us military spouses who are allowed to talk handle that. I want them to stay. I know it sounds
But
crazy.
is it not
I
a
want them to stay.
commander's
Now, the
duty to
retired
keep
generals,
your people safe, though?
the retired generals, they need to step the fuck up.
Is
I'm
it not a
very disappointed.
commander's? Is it not a commander's duty? Is it not, somebody that's? Is it not their duty to keep your men safe, though? Like,
Yes,
don't you have an
yes.
obligation to do what
And they
you
should
need to do
handle
to
that
make sure your
internally.
pilots and the
They should
people
handle
and
that
the
internally.
forward
They should handle
observing?
that
Go ahead.
going to Congress. They should go to Congress. They should be speaking to Congress. They
Right,
should be
right,
filing. They should be filing. There's a system for that, is what I'm saying, right? And
right,
it's not
right.
necessarily the media. And it's not necessarily getting involved in politics. Does that
No,
make
no,
sense?
that's not what I'm saying. That
So
I don't
that's
want
what
them
I
out
want.
there giving
Yeah.
interviews and stuff, but I want to make
But I
sure
want
that
them
they're
throwing their grenades. They have grenades in their kit. They can go to the IGs. They can go to Congress. They can make
correct.
congressional
Right.
queries.
That's what I'm saying.
Those things. You
Right.
know the deal. But as far as I really want them to hold on there, because there's going to come a moment where we're going to need good men and women who serve in uniform to make a very difficult decision to refuse an illegal order. And I want them ready for that. So
No,
that's
I
me.
mean, and yeah, just to clarify, I don't mean like going out on
Yeah.
CNN and that
Yeah.
type of stuff. I just like behind like what you're talking about, the routes that they have to take in, the Senate and the House and with committees and to make sure that, their men stay safe and to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because what are the chances that this was the only chat like this? Because there's several
They're still
situations
going.
going on, right?
They're
I
still
mean,
going. They're still
right.
going.
So the
So
fact that we don't know what has already, I mean, we know we've seen this one, but we don't know everything that they've been talking about. We don't know
no,
all the information that has been spread on these channels. I mean, I
no.
guess on Signal, I'm not a huge Signal guy, but I guess the messages delete after a certain amount of time.
Which is why they're
I
using
guess
it.
that's why people use it, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, how many other people have been put in danger? How many other soldiers or spies or forward
Thousands.
observers have been killed
Thousands.
and taken prisoners because of shit like this? You know what I mean? I don't
Yep.
know. It bugs the shit out of me. And I just hope that the people that have been there, that are the career military people, that are the upstanding citizens in the military that have been there throughout different administrations, like I said, just doing their job, looking straight ahead, are
Yeah.
doing just that. I hope they're
Doing
making
their
sure that
job.
this
That's it.
does not happen again. Or
I
if
agree.
it does, at least bringing your squad to the side and saying, "Listen, all right, I know
We're not
this is
doing this.
going on, but I
Yeah.
want you to know that I got your back. I'm going to make sure that this doesn't affect your troop, your squad, this person, or that person." You know what I mean? So,
I
I mean,
appreciate it, man. Look, I gotta
no,
go to the game,
enjoy your
man. They're
game.
kicking off
Enjoy
in
your game.
45 minutes. I gotta go. Thanks
Go
for
for it.
having me. Sorry I had to stay so short, but man, it's great seeing. Good to see your crowd. Wonderful guest group got there. I appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you,
Thanks
buddy.
for having
Hey,
me.
shout out your channel one more time before you
Yeah.
go.
So on to Moxie channel on YouTube. It's on to Moxie channel on YouTube. That's where all of our videos are going. I'm really building my Substack. fpwellman.substack.com is where we can do. We're putting our live show. Really, really proud. We're still on the Midas Touch channel Friday nights at 11, and we
Yep.
also are still doing a Sunday show. Our Sunday show is booming. We just had our largest audience ever in our Sunday show. It's incredible. We laugh a lot. We have incredible guests from actors to musicians to political appointees, you name it. We have them all. And then on top of that, I do appear on VoteVets. On their channel, that's votevets.org. So I'm kind of everywhere. You can't get rid of me. I'm like a virus. So
Well,
thanks so much for having me, man.
you seem to absolutely be a fan favorite. So I
Well, it's
appreciate you
awesome.
taking the
I mean,
time out
it's
again. I
humbling. I
hope you
mean,
have a
honestly, it means a lot to me. You're not this gig, man. You yell into a microphone or right to a computer. It's hard to know there's people out there. So thanks so much. I really
have
appreciate
fun at your
y'all.
game. Have fun at your game. I
Cheers.
appreciate you joining me. Thank you, dude.
See you soon.
Appreciate it. Fred Wellman, everybody, from the Midas Touch Network and the On Democracy channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check him out. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Fred, for that, and thank you to the crowd for watching. I think people were here. I can say to see Fred, but that's all right. I'm lucky to have guests like that. I'm very honored that I can speak to true patriots that have served this nation with distinction, with honor. And now continue, like I said, to uphold their oath to the Constitution, whether it be from enemies foreign or domestic. So thank you again, Fred. Have a good time at your game. And yeah, thank you to everybody that's been watching.